Welcome again, delegates, to the second session for this morning. This one's on DC charging, or in fact, public charging, I suppose you could think of it as well. We have got, again, a panel of absolute experts for the Australian industry. What they don't know about this topic is basically not worth knowing. So with that, I'm going to hand over to the first of our speakers, Dr. Andrew Simpson from Evie Networks. Please, Andrew, take it away.
G'day everyone, and thanks, Christian. My pleasure to be speaking with you today. So we're going to talk about DC charging in Australia, but also the plans unfolding at Evie Networks. It's a big time for DC charging at the moment, a lot of money going in, and so the coverage is growing fast. But what I'll be talking about is how we position the sector sort of for the longer term to get it to a sustainable growth trajectory. Just a quick intro about myself. So I'm an executive at Evie Networks. I've been with the business for most of its life, started in early 2018. I'm the head of technology and planning, so basically the guy who designs our network. And I should also acknowledge I'm a member of the Electric Vehicle Council Board as well. And you know, policy is very important for this sector as well. So very pleased to be able to contribute to that. So let's keep going. I'm going to toggle through. So, I mean, this is obvious, I'm sure, to all of us, but it really helps to reinforce it. Access to public fast charging is vital for the growth of this marketplace. All of the surveys that are ever done domestically and internationally always say the same things. We obviously want to charge at home or in private locations, but access to public fast charging is a vital confidence booster for the industry. And it's not just for the end customers, but it's actually for the supply chain as well. For the people who are now solely importing vehicles to this marketplace, we have to show them that we are ready. It's not the only thing we need to do, but it is a fundamental underpinning of a thriving market. And so that's why we're in this business. This is our plan to roll out a highway network in the first phase of our business. We've got quite generous support from Arena, which we were very pleased to receive, alongside the support that Arena has also provided to ChargeFox for a similar network. We are planning to deploy 42 site locations on highways until around 2022, when they should all go live. They will all be powered by 100% renewable energy. That's guaranteed. That's pretty common across the industry, actually, but definitely guaranteed at Evie Networks as well. And to date, we have 8 sites live. They're the purple dots you can see on that map. So just scrolling around the country, we've got Townsville, Coochin Creek, Taree, Tarcutta, Avenel, Tailem Bend, Campbelltown, and today, coincidentally, we're actually lighting up our 8th site at Seven Hills in Sydney. So very excited that we'll be able to confirm that this afternoon. And look, the other thing I want to acknowledge on this map is the other networks, because I don't think any single network is going to be able to deliver this outcome alone. To produce true national coverage, we do need to collaborate, and we do collaborate behind the scenes, despite the competition that the market sees. So, you know, ChargeFox playing a very important role as well to deliver highway coverage, and so are the 50 kilowatt networks, which are dotted around on that map too. But the point I just want to make here is all about future proofing. We need to be thinking long term when we build these networks. You know, 50 kilowatt sites might be working well for us today, but in 5 years' time, when the market grows and we start to see congestion, we'll also be very pleased to have these bigger sites built. So that's why we're building 350 kilowatt sites in this network, and quite a large number of them, because we do expect that growth to materialize. Just in terms of the site themselves, you're probably familiar with them, but we use Tritium 350 kilowatt chargers. And the majority of our sites, while they're initially deployed with 2 charging heads initially, they're actually future-proof for 6 heads. And again, in anticipation of that growth that we expect to come. So out of the 42 sites, we've only lit up 8 so far. And, you know, the most common question I get is, why is it taking so long? And there's a couple of reasons, but this is probably the standout. And I hear my peers are in the same boat. So getting grid connections, getting power to the site, getting the upgrade delivered to the site power supply is a big driver of how long it takes. And, you know, we've got some samples here from the sites that we've completed the power upgrades, 73 weeks on average. So that's, you know, almost a year and a half. It's a really long process. And it's a very expensive one too. We typically allow about $250,000, but with a huge variance on that number. So this is a big part of why we take so long to deliver sites and why we have to spend so much doing them. But the results then are something we're very pleased of, because we also commit to quality in the sites we build. And, you know, quality is not only in terms of the way the site's built and how pretty it looks. I mean, this is a very pretty slide, but what we're actually looking to do is get really good locations, really great host partnerships with retailers who have a vested interest to partner with us in serving this sector and make sure that the end customer experience is as best as it possibly can be. So again, that takes a little bit longer, and we are not rushing, because we want to make sure when these sites are built, they are, the best they can be for the end customer, not only today, but in future as well. So let's have a look quickly at how they're actually being used. So we've been sharing a little bit of this empirical data recently through Arena and other channels. And I just wanted to quickly show, the worst kept secret in the world, which is 350 kilowatt charging sites don't get used very much at 350 kilowatts. In fact, they never do, because we haven't got any products that can use that yet. But we are seeing, a strong tendency towards, shorter sessions at lower power levels in the majority, but we do get those occasional ones that are really fast and really big. And that's what the sites are designed for, not only today, but in future. So you can see, our fastest session on record to date on an average basis was 165 kilowatts of average power, which was a Tesla Model 3, coincidentally. And then our largest session was 120 kilowatts of average power for 45 minutes, which I'm pretty sure was an Audi. So, we are starting to see some of that utilization growing, but in 5 years' time, when these products are more commonplace, the size of these sites and the power ratings of these sites will really, really hit its stride. So speaking about power, I want to talk about the cost. And now this is something we debate a lot amongst ourselves and with our customers, because we get tons of feedback on everybody's different pricing tactics. And I just want to sort of put some information out there to sort of level the discussion. The power to supply these sites is very expensive, because they are what the industry calls a large customer site, and they are placed on a tariff that has particular components that are quite expensive for these sites. And the one we talk about the most is what we call a demand charge, a peak demand charge. So when that Tesla rocked up to our site and drew 165 kilowatts, that's a peak we will have to pay for. And then we need to recover those costs through all customers across all of the network. And so what this slide really shows is that in the early days, power is very expensive. Not only the capital cost to upgrade the site, but then the actual monthly power bills that we also pay. Now, we're obviously not passing that through to customers directly. We are absorbing some of that today. But the molar of the story here on this slide is two things. Firstly, we need to grow utilization to get those power costs down to a more sustained trajectory, not only for ourselves, but for all players in this industry. And then secondly, we need to recognize that it's not just power that we need to recover the costs of, but also our network overheads to maintain the sites and operate the service, the capital we're investing. Our investors are entitled to get their money back at some point in the future. And the real challenge for our sector, I think, is how are we going to deliver a price that is competitive with the cost of fuel at these high power levels over the life of this network? Because, the jury's out how much lower it will be able to be. And so some of the pricing tactics you're seeing in the industry today are trying to sort of take the edge off things, but also maintain enough cash flow so we can continue to operate these businesses and grow these networks. And I think it's a dilemma that we're still working through as a sector, and everybody's got a slightly different view, but it's important for the market to understand it's a very expensive thing to do. So what are we going to do next? We need to stimulate market growth, because not only for us to drive our costs down and offer a thriving network, we want more EVs. That's why we're in this business. We're here to promote the growth of the EV market. And the unfortunate truth is that the market's not quite as fast as people thought it was going to be. When we did our funding pitch in 2018 with Arena, we used their forecasts, but we've more recently had the State of the EVs update from the EV Council, and the curve is slowing. So we need to do something to pick it up. What we are looking to do is find other places to deploy fast charging to supplement what we're already doing in the 350 kilowatt realm. So we're actually quite pleased that we've been able to light up just recently 4 extra sites, which are 50 kilowatt sites. They're somewhat opportunistic. They kind of landed in our laps, but we thought we'd go and do them because we were committed to doing them. But we're also having a broader conversation with funding bodies like Arena about how we can add more coverage, particularly in metro areas where we think that the traffic growth is going to be, but then also to fill those black spots. That's certainly something we're committed to doing. So watch this space. And look, the other thing I just need to quickly say, road user charge on EVs, what a bad idea. It's totally the wrong policy at totally the wrong time. EVs aren't the problem, and taxing us today isn't going to fix the problem that the treasurers are talking about either. So let's agree that's something we need to put to bed, and let's talk about a longer term reform. But meanwhile, let's also, find ways to continue to unlock investment into this sector, because, companies like Evie and our peers are very keen to keep doing this and keep growing. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. So with that excellent presentation, I'd just highlight for delegates that you can post questions in the browser window. If you scroll down, Andrew will be available to answer questions with the rest of the panel at the end of the session. So please add your questions there and we'll get to them at the end.